community partners, which is growing and growing. This slide will get busier and busier as we move along. But thank you so much for all of the support that all the teams are giving us, and the state. We're making some progress. I'll show you a little bit of that in a second. So the Business Bootcamp, in case you haven't been here, is designed for businesses that are 20 and less employees. However, we expect to have many, many companies with more than 20 employees join us. It's a statewide initiative with community partners throughout the state. We are going to conduct this for 6 weeks, and we have also created a resource collective on our website. Please check out azcommerce.com, click on our COVID response, and you'll see the great information there, including this wonderful boot camp that we're running. So a quick update, round 2, PPP. This has been everyone's effort and fantastic job to so many people throughout the state. Currently, our latest information over the weekend, $175 billion has been approved overall for round 2, which means we have $135 billion remaining. There is going to be funds, so really get the word out. I think having companies apply today, tomorrow is super important. Get your application in. You can always decide not to take that loan, remember. Get in the queue, please. Some cool information, 44,000 small businesses in Arizona have gotten approved for funding in this round, which represents $3.7 billion at an average loan size of $84,000. That makes us a top 15 state currently for both the number of businesses and funds approved. Again, really get the word out. There is a good breakdown too. We'll share some of this tomorrow. That this money is going to smaller businesses. It is starting to capture the right essence of getting to the right firms. So continue to work with your lender, your CDFIs you'll meet today, and others. There is loans available, so let's make sure we fill that up if you need it. We're proud to announce the topics for this week. Alternative funding sources is going to be our topic today. Not just PPP, although we will answer questions on PPP. We always want to make sure that we're there for you on that. And tomorrow we're going to have a really cool presentation on negotiating relief, working with your landlords, your utility providers. It's going to be very important as we start to transition into cost and other business fundamentals. And on Wednesday, we're going to look at cost cutting and managing cash flow. Again, we'll have multiple conversations around this and sessions. This will be an excellent session as well. A reminder, on Thursdays and Fridays, we're leaving it open for Q&A and guidance and advisory. So this is an open office hour time frame. A number of people took advantage of that last week. We hope that all of you take advantage of that. You can ask your quick questions. Everyone benefits from those questions and answers. We have a great group of subject matter experts. You don't have to stay for the whole hour, but certainly bring your questions in. You can chat your questions or we'll have people speak your questions. So thank you very much for that. Again, links are on our site for registration for that, but we will post that in the chat today. In addition, I mentioned the azcommerce.com website. There are so many different resources on there for small businesses. You can navigate to many of those. Other ones are the SBDCs. We are partnering with as well, Workforce and our Arizona Work Initiative. And then for the manufacturers out there, we've seen a number of small manufacturers come to these boot camps. That is fantastic. We are going to be including manufacturing topics, as well as industry-specific topics, including retail and restaurant and others as we move along. So please be aware of that. And again, as you ask your questions, we'll get those to our experts. If we don't have them on the phone or on the call today, we'll make sure that we reach out and get them going. Other information aspects is, again, azcommerce.com/COVID. You just go to our front page and there's a number of resources that you can get to. All right, well, without further ado, we're super excited to have Carrie Davis and Amber Cordova. Carrie is with the Community Investment Corporation. Amber is with Chicanos por la Causa, or Prestamos CDFI. We're going to learn a little bit about more about CDFIs as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Amber. She's going to go through her presentation, and then we'll move on to Carrie. So let me stop sharing and allow you to have the podium. Thank you, Amber. As you're starting up, Amber, and you're muted right now, please go ahead and ask your questions. You can ask your questions in the Q&A area. We'll grab those as well. You can ask them in the chat, so we'll handle all of that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can you see my slides okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Amber Cordova. I am with CPLC, Prestamos. For those of you that are not familiar with CPLC or Chicanas por la Causa, we're a 50-year-old nonprofit organization. Underneath that umbrella is the Prestamos CDFI, and I'll talk to you guys today a little bit about what a CDFI is for those of you that aren't familiar. But we're an SBA microlender in addition to a mission-driven lender. And we've been providing small businesses with financial tools, lending, and business education for over 20 years. Again, I'm Amber. I manage the consulting services and our business education. So what is a CDFI? If this is the first time you've heard this term, it's a community development fiduciary institution. So we're private institutions, and we're 100% dedicated to delivering responsible and affordable help to low income, low wealth, and other disadvantaged people. And typically we provide lending where banks won't provide lending, and we'll talk a little bit more about what our criteria are just a little bit. We are a for-profit, but we're not profit maximizing. We focus on putting the community and creating jobs first. And in addition to economic development, and there are 16 CDFIs within the state of Arizona, so we're one of many. Several of them are also specific to tribal communities. So what we do is we provide a couple different types of loan products, and today I'll talk about our traditional products, the COVID-specific products, in addition to a new social enterprise product we have, and I'll talk a little bit about our technical assistance and consulting that we provide in addition. So we believe that all businesses should have an equal chance at access to capital. A lot of the larger banks, especially in startups or with businesses that don't have a lot of operating capital and need assistance, they often have trouble going to a traditional lender like a large bank because of their rigid underwriting guidelines. We are able to look at each individual unique situation and help small businesses get the funding they need in order to start their business, continue to grow their business. The different types of products that we provide are the microloans. We have a traditional microloan and an SBA microloan, and those are small business loans that are up to $50,000. They're up to 5-year terms, and they start at 7.5%. We have traditional small business lending that's anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million in capital with up to 20-year terms. And those rates typically start at about 8.5%. And then we have the SBA Community Advantage Program, which is $100,000 to $250,000 in capital. It's up to a 10-year term, and it's based on prime plus 4%. And that is a special program when no collateral is available. So again, one of the things that's unique about a CDFI is as an alternative lender, is our underwriting guidelines are really focused on your unique circumstances and not just a rigid underwriting box. So we're able to look at a lot of different things. A lot of traditional lenders won't focus on startups, and that's something that a CDFI can look at as a startup business. We can work with small business owners who potentially have credit impairment, or a lack of collateral, or a reduction in their ability to put money into the project. So we're really able to look at all of the unique circumstances surrounding the business, figure out where the strengths and weaknesses are and how we can mitigate that, to really try to provide as much lending opportunity for small businesses. Specific to our COVID-19, there's two programs that we have running right now. First of all, everybody's probably pretty familiar with the PPP lending. We didn't participate in the first wave of lending, but we are participating in the second wave. So for the last solid week, we've been processing PPP applications. I think we're close to probably 325 that we've put through. We're still taking applications, so if you're looking for a home, you can definitely apply through us. The PPP program looks like there's probably going to be funds for the next couple of days, so you definitely do want to get your application in as soon as possible. And one of the nice things about going through us that we've heard a lot of other small businesses aren't experiencing with their larger lenders is the ability to work directly with somebody. When you call on the phone, we answer, we email you back. So if you have a unique circumstance and you need some hand holding through the application process or need to understand a little bit more, we're definitely here to be able to walk you through that process with an actual live person on the phone. We also have a Press the Most COVID-19 microloan program that we created. It's similar to the traditional microloan program. You're eligible to apply for up to $25,000, and the SBA is actually covering the first 6 months of both the principal and the interest. So you don't have to make those first 6 payments, and they'll be taken off the loan amount. You won't have to pay those 6 payments amortized. And then the rest of the balance is amortized over a 6 to 18 month term. And again, those start at 6.5%. We recently launched a new social enterprise incubator program. And for those of you that aren't familiar with social enterprise is typically a cause-driven business or a nonprofit that is focusing on the unmet needs of society, or solving some kind of societal problem, creating jobs, removing barriers. And they use a market-driven approach to do that in order to achieve sustainability. So this could be a nonprofit that has added in some sort of earned income, or a for-profit business that wants to incorporate social elements into their business. We have a new incubator program where we're working with those businesses with a coaching program and different tracks. There's also a lending component as well. The interest rate for loans through this program are 4.75% for our qualified social enterprises. We do have flexible terms and credit requirements. There is a job requirement that for every $20,000 that's lent, one full-time permanent job is created. So again, the intent of most of our programs is this job creation. When you work through a CDFI, there's typically also some level of technical assistance that's provided. We have a pretty robust consulting and technical assistance program because we believe that businesses deserve both the access to affordable capital and important business education to help their businesses thrive. So mirroring the capital and the funds along with important business consulting and education. So some of the areas we focus on our business education are general business coaching and advising. We work on a one-on-one basis in addition to doing workshops. Everything right now obviously is virtual. So we're doing webinars and workshops and one-on-one training. And that can be just general coaching where we work with you specifically on your business goals, short-term or long-term. We also do financial coaching. So if there's credit repair, we can help work with you on a financial coaching level. We can help with your business financial management or understanding accounting, understanding how to use QuickBooks or whatever type of system might be best for your individual business. Budgeting, accounting best practices. We also assist with marketing, so we can help you create marketing plans, evaluate your SEO. We can train you on how to use the different social media platforms that are out there. And then we also work on just business fundamentals, so very one-on-one classes so that you can build up your knowledge base in a lot of different areas as business owners, which I'm an entrepreneur as well. A lot of times we start up our businesses because we're really great at something, but we don't have all those business skills that we need. So now's a really good time to take advantage to a lot of the opportunities and knowledge that's out there. While some of us have some downtime to build those skill bases. And then we do a lot of specialty training based on the needs of our client base. So we do QuickBooks trainings, actual talks on how to become a social enterprise, different government programs that are available. And all of the consulting and technical assistance that we provide is free to all of our customers. There's never any charge for our consulting services. That's one of the benefits as a CDFI that we're able to provide to our customer base. For more information about Prestimos, how to apply for any of the loan programs that we have, you can go to our website. We also have a special COVID-19 page where we're putting up resources. We'll also have links to all of the different webinars and training sessions that we're doing. We will be doing some pretty robust PPP trainings so that people really understand their reporting requirements, so that when that 8 weeks out, how to apply for that loan forgiveness. And you can also email me directly. I've put my email here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. We're always around to answer questions. And again, we don't charge for any of the services we provide. So we're happy to lend some support to you guys as we're all navigating this difficult time. And definitely consider CDFIs as you are looking for alternative sources of funding.
Thank you so much, Amber. That's great. As Carrie starts to get hers ready, I wanted to, there was a couple of questions out there. For new startups, for new startup businesses, can you just review the requirements for those companies? I think they have to be in business since January, but also have a track record. Can you review that a little bit?
For the PPP or for our lending?
Probably both. Let's cover both.
Okay, so the PPPs are requiring that you were in business on February 15th, 2019. So that's the requirement for the PPP lending. In terms of our lending, we do start with brand new startups, depending on the unique circumstances. So if you have a solid business plan, you have projections that show that you're going to be able to pay back the loan, we can work with businesses that are brand new startups, as long as, you know, we really look at it and does it make sense? Is it something that's already a ton of people out in the marketplace and there's not really a market share? Or is this a really great idea? Or, you know, there's going to be a lot of new entrepreneurs that come from this specific COVID situation that are going to need access to capital, and that's definitely something we can provide.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll have more questions after Carrie's presentation, so just stand by. Carrie? Thank you.
Great. Okay. Can you see my screen?
It is not full screen. You might want to
Presenting it now.
try sharing. Yeah, there we go. Presenting would be great. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So yeah, I work with the Community Investment Corporation on a couple of different programs that are focused on community capital, which basically means your friends, your family, your network, as well as a larger network of these platforms actually provide the funds for your loan. So we're not a bank. Well, these programs are not a bank. They are sort of crowdfunding. They're crowdsourcing all of the funds for the loans that people get through these programs. So I'm going to talk today about a couple of those, one of those being WEFUNDER and one of those being Kiva, which is a program of Growth Partners Arizona in partnership with us. So the first one I want to talk about briefly is called WEFUNDER. They are an equity crowdfunding site. There was some recent legislation that was passed that allows people who are not just high net worth individuals to now invest in companies. And it's a platform that actually enables that. So previously, you know, you had to have certain qualifications to invest in startup businesses, for example, but now anyone with $100 can invest in businesses that are on a platform like WEFUNDER, and actually get an ownership stake in the company. And, you know, they set up the sort of what the terms are for all that, but that's really what the model is. And the type of business that's best for a WEFUNDER campaign is actually a business that's been around for a bit and is now maybe looking to scale or is looking to expand, for profits as well, since it is an equity-based kind of, you know, a deal there. So ideally you have a huge network that you can tap into, and that's where these things actually start to work really well. The minimum raise on WEFUNDER is $50,000, and they actually do recommend that most of that come from your network. So even before you get on the platform, WEFUNDER will consult with you and talk to you about your ability to actually bring that much money to the table from your own network before you're able to raise potentially $1 million is how much you can raise on WEFUNDER. Another thing I'd want to point out here, where there was a lot of, sometimes there's some confusion from the angel investment community. They don't want to invest in companies that have used crowdfunding because there's a cap table that's super messy and there's tons of people on the cap table. So WeFunder has actually been able to distill that down to one line on the cap table. So if you're a business that has questions about that or concerns, that's something that they have figured out. The fees on a campaign like WeFunder typically is 7.5%, but since we have a partnership, Community Investment Corporation has a partnership with WeFunder, we've gotten that lowered to 6.5%. The way that you would look at getting a WeFunder campaign going is actually we would have a conversation first, and then I would put you in touch with the WeFunder team, and they walk you through all of the steps and help you get, make sure that it's the right thing, and then help you get on the platform. They do have a COVID-19 disaster relief program. WeFunder can also be a loan platform. So depending on what you're looking to do, you can do an equity raise, or like in this case, they have a disaster loan program specifically, and they've lowered the minimum to $20,000. That does require some sophisticated financials, which I found is typically, it's costing some people, a couple $1,000s to actually get those financials completed. So also keep that in mind if you feel like this is a good option for you. They've lowered their interest rate to 3% non-compounding, and their repayment rate is actually based on your revenues. So they recommend 5% of your revenues actually starts to go towards paying back the loan, and that's deferred until 2021. And again, I guess the thing to keep in mind here is that most of the funding, especially up to that first $20,000, is going to come from your network of friends and family. So you really need to make sure that you have a really well-established business. A great example is, if your business is really well loved in the community and you have a great social presence, those are really fantastic businesses to look at using WeFunder as an option. Again, if you are interested in that, definitely let's have a call, and I will share these slides because there are some links in here that you can access. And Mark and Andy, if you guys would help us get those out to everybody. So the next program is called Kiva, and very similar to what Amber was talking about. Kiva is a program that really focuses on helping people who haven't had the ability to get capital in a lot of other ways get access to capital, and they are focused on microloans. These are a couple of the campaigns actually in Tucson that have recently launched. So Creative Kind was able to raise a $15,000 loan, and that's the most you can actually raise on Kiva. And Just Churros actually was at the $7,500 range, and the loans actually funded really quickly. So we're really excited to see them be successful on the platform. Let's see. So really what Kiva is they are social underwriting. So they don't use your standard underwriting process either. There's a couple of phases that you go through on Kiva. Basically, they want to see that you can get your friends and family to invest, but it's not a dollar amount on Kiva. It's actually a number of lenders. So if you look at these I guess, buckets of different loan sizes that you could access. The private fundraising phase is listed here. And so, for example, if you are qualified for a $10,000 loan, you would tap into your friends and family and your network, as well as our network. We're sharing these campaigns that are going up with our network as well to get people to invest. So you would really need 25 people to contribute $25, that's the minimum investment, into your campaign before it goes into the sort of global Kiva platform where you would actually raise the rest of the money in addition to the rest of your friends and family. So the other thing I want to point out too is that Kiva is 0%, no fee. And the terms there you can see are based on the amount of money that you raise. I guess the other thing I would say here, if you're going to apply for a Kiva loan, I'm going to take you through the steps, what an application looks like. But if you do apply, just know that if you are in Pima County, Santa Cruz County, or Cochise County, we will automatically get notified and we'll help you work through your loan. If you're not in one of those counties, just let me know, because we can also bring you into our portal, but it doesn't happen automatically. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think we may have some people not inside of those counties here. Let's see. Here's a couple of notes on minimum eligibility. I think the main thing to keep in mind here, you can't currently be in bankruptcy, your business has to be based in the US, and you have to be 18 years old. There's also a few they don't allow CBD products. That's kind of one of the things that was a little bit of a gray area, but Kiva doesn't allow that on their platform. And depending on the size of the loan that you get, they need, like if you actually, one of the things here, if you don't have a separate business bank account from your personal bank account, you could still qualify for Kiva, but you would just qualify for a smaller loan. So those are things that are really great to have if you're looking to get a Kiva loan. Here, I think it's important to remember, like I think since Kiva is 0%, sometimes people look at it to consolidate debt, and they do not approve loans that are for paying off credit card debt. They are really for working capital, hiring people, upgrading your space, buying new equipment. Those are very common things that people see on Kiva. Certainly with the COVID-19, they're also, they have a disaster loan kind of situation as well, where you can use it to, pay rent, pay employees who you may have had, who aren't working right now, and those kinds of things. So here's just a few slides that show the process. When you, went too far. When you go onto the Kiva platform, basically what you'll do is you'll put in kind of a story about your business. It's really important to have a really great photo as well, because that's what inspires lenders. Basically, they're moved by people's kind of their origin story. Why did you start this business? What experience have you had? Has your business been successful? And why are you looking to get this loan? Those are all the things that are really important to point out. And those are the things that I will also help you sort of, massage your story so that it kind of, looks really good to the lenders. So that's what I'm here for. I guess the other thing I would say here, it takes you can fill out the application pretty quickly. Actually, some people do it in a couple of hours, and then we'll work through any tweaks. Once we get it to the Kiva review process, that takes a couple of days, and then you go into what this is here, the private fundraising phase. So once you get enough people in the private fundraising phase to lend you money, then you go into the public fundraising phase, which is where Kiva, who has 1.8 million people around the world, probably more now, in fact, contributing to Kiva campaigns all the time. I am a lender on Kiva, so that means I've contributed to some of these campaigns. And so I'm always getting emails with, they're always encouraging people who do have, $25 that is idle capital for you. Can you contribute to a Kiva loan so that someone who has a small business can actually be successful? And the way it works for you to know, like, as people are lending to you, you actually get paid back as a lender over the course of the loan. And once it's paid off, you get all your money back. It sits on the Kiva portal until you take it out, but that's how it works from a lender perspective. Then if your campaign gets funded in, I think it's like 1 or 2 days, they actually distribute the funds to you. And then you start paying off your loan. And there actually is a 6-month deferment, though, I should note, for COVID-19. So anybody who gets a loan on Kiva, you don't have to start paying it back for 6 months. And here you can see on the left the repayment schedule, and it varies based on how much you're borrowing. And again, you guys can reference that chart that's back in these slides if you're curious what those loan terms are. But basically, you divide it out, or whatever your loan amount is, over the number of months that you have to pay it off, since there's no interest. And that is everything for me.
That's awesome, Carrie. Thank you so much. Very useful. Quick question. What would you say is the best performing type of company? And can you go through any exclusion companies? I know you mentioned CBD.
Yeah, the best performing type of company. So for WEFUNDER, they tend to say that startup companies, technology-based startup companies are really great for WEFUNDER because they have already that sort of investment mentality of people who are interested in investing in technology startups, high growth tech startups. It's a very appealing thing to invest in. However, they do have a lot of Main Street businesses on their platform as well. So they have a brewery in San Diego that's raised, I think he said $700,000 on the platform, because they're very beloved in the community, and they have a huge, they're really good at getting people to sort of open up their wallets. For Kiva loans, I have seen a whole range. So there's a lot of food businesses. We have a gym going up in a couple days. We also have a winery tour business going up in a couple days. I would say that so far I haven't really found a business that doesn't make sense on Kiva. I think it's difficult if you are a new business, just again, because you don't have that network of people to tap into, and Kiva doesn't allow startups. They will evaluate on a case-by-case basis. So if you have a brand new business, you can still apply for a Kiva loan, but it's a little bit of a bigger hurdle, I would say.
Thank you very much. We'll go into Q&A. So please use the Q&A section for our participants. We have 94 participants today, so if you could go ahead and use that, we'll go ahead and answer questions. One question came in earlier from Ronald Ghetto. I want to make sure you see that Gina from the Kokono Small Business Development Center has responded, so I think you can connect with her on that specific question. Thank you so much for that, Gina and Ronald. Also, David Graff asked a very specific accounting and GAAP question. We're going to take that offline. We will go ahead and give that to some of our accounting experts, and then we will go ahead and answer that either tomorrow or during our Thursday, Friday. Ronald, if you can go ahead and put your email address if you're feeling comfortable to do that up here. If not, we'll just try to post that. It's a very specific GAAP question. Okay, so I think the first question, I don't know, Carrie and Amber, if you can move to the Q&A, if you can see those questions. There's one up there now. Either one of you can take that if you'd like it.
Sure, I can start. So what do they need to provide to better their chance of approval? So for a Kiva loan, one thing I did mention is, having a separate bank account, separate business bank account. They also look at your debt to income ratio. So that can help determine if you're approved for a higher loan amount. Kiva also will look at your social presence. So you have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, you have a web presence. Those are things that help them determine, I guess, again, if they can give you a larger loan, because those are the things that really help you raise the money from the community. I think the other things too, they really like to see that you have a business mentor that you're working with, that you've had some revenue, definitely that you had revenue. Again, the lower debt to income ratio, the better. And certainly now that COVID has hit, they recognize that you may not have any revenue right now, but they're interested in knowing what you were making before, because they want to know that they're not going to give you a loan that you won't be able to pay off. But those are the general things I would say that they're looking for.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Amber?
For us, it's similar. We're going to look at what you were doing prior to COVID hitting. Where was your cash flow? Were you able to cover all of your obligations? And will adding this additional debt be something that will really impact your cash flow, or will you be able to service the debt appropriately? So the things we're going to look for are definitely financial statements, and they don't have to be sophisticated, but financial statements, business taxes, if you have them. We'll want to see a business plan, or at least some sort of plan that you have for the future and what your management and operations look like. Believe it or not, management and operations are really a huge part of determining whether or not to lend to a business, because it speaks to their history and their ability to kind of weather the change and what they know about their industry. So if you're coming into this and it's a brand new business for you, you're not really experienced with it, you don't have a lot of management experience, that is something that can be considered an impairment.
Excellent, thank you very much. We've got a few more questions up top there. After you get your application number for PPP loan, is there a time limit, I think that is, given when the funding would be available? What are we seeing average out there? Does anyone have an input on that in terms of when you get your loan number versus when you get funded?
So I know for us, once you get your loan number, as of right now, you'll need to upload a voided check in addition to the commitment letter, and then you'll get a DocuSign back with a promissory note and a settlement statement. And once all those documents are returned to us, we're able to fund within 72 hours. So it's a pretty quick turnaround time. With some of the larger banks, what I have heard from people is that they applied whenever they applied, maybe weeks and weeks ago, and they never heard anything. And then one day the money just showed up in their account. Other lenders, some of the credit unions or the Arizona banks, I think they're similar to that same 72-hour schedule once you get all of the required documentation in and provide your voided check if you're not already a member of that bank. It's a pretty quick couple-day turnaround for the funds.
Okay, thank you. Just very quickly, Lynn Sky has posted in the chat, please go ahead and look at that, for anybody needing loan and assistance for application. Thank you, Lynn, that's great. In addition, Amber has offered the same, so let's make sure that if you are looking for these loans, please put your application in today. Spend that time to do that today. There's still availability of loans, actually much more than we expected to have. I think everyone would agree to that. So please put in your loan app today. Thank you. All right. Question, CDFIs for tribal business projects were previously mentioned. Is there a list of these type of CDIs? Amber, Carrie, do you know any? We could do that research as well.
I can throw a link to the list.
It's awesome. Thank you. We'll post that in chat. James, thanks for that question. Amanda is asking, in addition to your incubator program, are there any other resources available for businesses that are social impact based? Probably that is for both, but let's start with Carrie.
Is this is for the this is for Amber's incubator, right?
Oh, it might be yours, Amber. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's probably closer to yours, Amber. The social impact based question.
So in terms of other things that are available, I mean, you have organizations like SeedSpot that provide different types of incubation and accelerator services, and then they also have different types of funding. So SeedSpot might be something you want to look into. Kiva also does social impact based. So there are a lot of different organizations out there. It just depends on what the unique needs are, and if you're looking for more training and one-on-one type of assistance, if you're looking to be a part of a cohort program, SeedSpot does a really great job of creating cohorts and getting pitch decks ready to go to investment. We're able to do the one-on-one training in addition to group, fundamental coursework, in addition to providing lending. It is at a reduced rate, but it is still a loan. I don't know if Carrie, if you want to speak to the specifics of the social type aspect of Kiva. I know you kind of already touched on that.
Yeah, I guess it's more that they are a social impact lender. It's similar to you. They really focus on people who can't access capital. So but also, I guess that is another thing to the previous question. If you are helping in the community somehow, like if you're doing job training, or if you're, doing different kinds of things that are, your business actually is giving back to the community, and somehow that also helps with your Kiva application.
Great. Thank you very much. Great question. So someone's received their PPP loan, and they're looking at it and saying, I want to ask for a little bit more. Can they go back and ask for an additional amount? How does that work? Does anyone have any information on that? And Robert, you might too.
Well, it depends on who their lender is and who they went through and what documentation that they provided. Your loan eligibility is based on what you paid in wages for 2019 if you're a W-2 employer. And it's based if you're a Schedule C self-employed or independent contractor. It's based on your net profit for 2019, and you're only eligible for the amount of payroll or your self-employment income, or the two of those together divided by 12 to get your monthly payroll amount times 2.5. So if you've already gotten that amount, you're not going to be able to get more under this program. It's very specific what makes you eligible. But I would say contact your lender and find out how they did your calculation if you're able to. And that's really the best advice I have there.
Thank you. There is a request in one of our chats from Patricia. It's really asking, are there any small grant programs taking place? The answer to that, I'll give very quickly. Yes, there are. Those grant programs get applied for and maxed out pretty quickly. So our advice is to everybody, when you do see a grant program, whether it's in the state or out of state, because there is a lot of out-of-state grant programs that could be used, apply quickly. You know, get your application in there because these windows do shut pretty quick. We are going to poll and try to post up the grant opportunities that we see up. So if anybody on this call or partners see those, let's pop those up and we'll make sure that we post those on our website and share those to everybody. We know that there was something going on in Tucson pretty quickly. That window was still open. There was also a City of Phoenix grant program that I saw. All right, let me just look through here pretty quickly. Just a comment. We are going to start to deal with the post PPP, planning areas. We dealt with that a little bit last week. You have 8 weeks to submit all your expenses within that 8 weeks. They are very specific in how that is created and the formats and so forth. So we'll have some of that in our Q&A on Thursday and Friday. For people who have received PPP loans, you want to start that process in terms of capturing your accounting and your expenses. So that's a smooth process for you. And this is for the loan forgiveness area. I don't know, Carrie or Amber, do you want to give some advice on that area just very briefly for everyone?
On the loan forgiveness?
Yes.
Number one thing we're telling people is try to open up a new bank account or have a separate bank account if you already have one where you're keeping those funds, and document everything. You're going to have to provide full documentation in order to get the loan forgiveness. Make sure that you're using it for an eligible use, which is going to be 75% payroll. The other 25% can be used for leases, so your normal rent. If you own your commercial property and have a mortgage on it, the interest on that, and utilities that were all in place prior to February 15th. So those all have to be in place. And then in terms of payroll, that's only going to include your W-2 wages, not your 1099 contractors. And there's a lot of confusion with people, the difference between that. So the W-2 means that you've paid them through, a payroll provider, you do your own payroll, but you withhold taxes and submit them on behalf of your employee. So 1099 wages where you just pay somebody and you give them a 1099 at the end of the year, those wages are not considered an eligible use.
There is a question from Douglas on when does the clock start on the 8 weeks? Let's just clarify that for him.
That starts the day that the first disbursement is in your bank account. So if you got funds today, your 8-week period starts today.
Yeah, so it could be different for everybody. It's 8 weeks from the time you get funded to the time that you would present the application, essentially, with all your documentation for the forgiveness. Excellent. Terrific. Okay, we've got a few more questions up here. This, Amber, Charmaine, for you up top.
I'm not seeing where it's at.
Oh, it says, Amber, does Prestamos extend the microloans to agricultural businesses? This gets the first question. And then farmers were able to apply for the PPP in the second round, but many of them show a loss on their taxes, which disqualifies them from applying. With the EIDL portal not open yet, they can't apply there either, any resources or updates. So a couple things on that. Let's deal with the farming question and then the lack of profitability question, I think is the two there. And then Robert, I'm gonna ask you after that to give us a quick update on EIDL for everyone.
Sure, we do work with agricultural businesses in terms of where your cash flow is at, and it's not just based on your net profit at the end of the day. We look at and remove a lot of different aspects. If there's interest, amortization, depreciation, we look at a lot of different things when we determine your cash flow and your ability to repay. So I would say reach out to me directly and I can have you talk with one of our business development officers specific to your case, and they can answer any very specific questions that you have about that.
Perfect, thank you. Robert, any information on the portal on EIDL? I did not look today if we have any updates on that.
Yes, so I'm going to post here in the chat there. I just posted a link for agricultural businesses can go on the EIDL page, on the SBA page, and there at the very bottom is, it'll say agricultural businesses apply here for the EIDL loan. It's only open for agricultural businesses. If an agricultural business applied before the portal closed originally, they do not have to reapply. Their application is in the queue. But the SBA did open the portal just for agricultural businesses so they could get their applications in as they were added in the second round of funding.
Excellent, thank you, Robert. And I think that was Charmaine. If you still have questions, Charmaine, Robert, if you could post your email address, let's get in contact so that if we can help you in any way on that EIDL side. Thank you. Since not, this one could be either Carrie or Amber, whichever you feel, or Robert. Since nonprofits contribute 14% of our GDP, which programs focus on capital to build the capacity for nonprofits? Is there any specifics on nonprofits with anyone? I know that it's open. The PPP program is open to nonprofits. I want to clarify that. But let's talk about nonprofit special interests.
Real quick, as the others are getting ready to unmute their microphone, the Corona programs, the EIDL and the PPP, are not for building your capacity for any business. It's actually to help your business survive. However, I know Carrie and Amber probably have programs that may be able to support nonprofit growth under their normal lending programs and platforms.
Thanks for clarifying that. Amber, Carrie, any additional comments on that?
I mean, I think you can apply as a nonprofit for a Kiva loan. I think I guess that's just the basics of it. I don't know what I don't think there's anything special that you would have to do for that, but you can apply.
Okay, great.
In terms of our typical loan products, we don't typically lend to nonprofits, but we do under our Incubator program. So that is an eligible business type under the social enterprise program.
Okay, and I saw a chat. This is, by the way, this is fantastic, the way all of our partners are on the call with us today. So the questions and then your access to resources is something we really wanted to try to achieve. And I'm pleased that it's starting to move in that direction. So on the nonprofit question, Penelope, if you can look in the chat, Leslie has posted Growth Partners Arizona can assist you with your nonprofits and capacity building. She's posted her telephone number there and information. So thank you for that, Leslie, and great question. So appreciate that. Rena is asking, so there's a lot of scams out there for offering money grants. How can you confirm it's legit? Well, I think that is going to be really important to do that. First of all, we look for programs that are sanctioned by the cities and the states and the federal government, SBA. So that's the primary ones that we're starting to reach out for. Anything that we post on the ACA, we're working hard to vet. We don't just post anything up. These are usually very well-approved partners in our community. So we're hoping that stays consistent. And as far as scam goes, yes, there's going to be a lot of loan scams out there as well. And I think the fraud elements are starting to increase in terms of phishing and other aspects. So just be aware, kind of think about it. You're not going to open up a link that you don't know, just be very, very aware. You're not going to want to apply and provide your information to organizations that you don't know. And if you have any questions on that, we're happy to dig in a little bit. If you see a program out there that you're not sure of, send it our way. We'll take a look and see if we can help you with that. It's a great question, Rena. Okay, we've got about 5 more minutes. Carrie, Amber, you know, it looks like we're winding down on the question side. Any other comments or, you know, kind of guidance areas for our companies out there as we close out?
Yeah, I would say I've gotten a lot of people who I originally had spoken with, I guess a couple months ago, who've come back and said, I didn't get SBA grant and things like that. And I think my message is there's no sense in waiting, right? If you're like, you really don't know what you're going to get at this point. I know some people have already gotten things, but the sooner you kind of, I think Andy, you may have mentioned this, like go after everything, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to take the money.
Yeah, I really want to reiterate that just being in business for many, many years, from my own personal experience, but also just good advice. Apply, get approved. You can say no. If the funds come in, you can return them with no penalty. I've had venture capitalists and many, many other very experienced business advisors come on and really say in a situation like this, there's no such thing as too much cash. So if you have that ability to have more cash in your business, at least as a protective, say you don't use it. Say it's just used as a rainy day funds, you can return that as well. Now, obviously we're not saying if you don't need it, don't get it, because we want other people to get it. But generally speaking, you know, there is a safety clause there. And if you feel you're gonna need it, go ahead and do it. And you can decide whether or not how you use it or when you use it, or just pay it back very quickly and put it back into the system. So, I'm going to ask you guys if you wanted to spend any more time on anything, but I wanted to show the group very quickly. We're proud of this. I'll see if I can get this expanded. I know I'm sharing my my whole screen here, but if you could see this, basically this is the website that we put up. This is Arizona Commerce Authority website. This is the new Small Business Collective. A lot of you have asked, are we going to have this information available? We post up, it's been great. I have to thank our marketing team and the entire group and the effort that's gone on here with all of our partners. We're posting this information up in a few hours after each session. So you'll have a live presentation. You can also register for all of the different groups. So this week we're doing alternative funding, negotiating relief, how to cut costs, and then we have our office hours. Just check in on each one of those. Right now you have to register on each one. Office hours, you can register once for both days. So, you know, just you could come in and out if you have questions. Last week we had a really great group of advisors on Thursday and Friday. So please do feel free to come in and out of that session. And then on the coming weeks, you'll see those posted up here. Our strategy on topics, we will post the topics for next week on Wednesday of each week. And the reason we're doing that is because it is fluid. There's a lot of information that we want to share with you. Some will be more priority than others as we start to move into returning stronger with new restarts in businesses and going back into you know, the sales mode and everything. We will be shifting our focus for specific areas on safety, PPP, other tactics and strategies for companies. So just keep an eye out for that as you start to move along. Again, thanks for all the hard work on this as we move forward. And with that, I'd just like to thank Amber, Carrie, this has been fantastic. Really great session on alternative funding. I learned a lot from it, and I hope that the team did as well. We have 3 minutes and 3 questions that just came up. So let's see if we can get those really quick before we leave. Is the Prestamus COVID micro plan and SBA bridge loan? Real quick on that.
It can be refinanced by the EIDL loan, and there's some other different types of loans it can be refinanced under. So yes, it is.
Great. And is EIDL a grant or a loan for small business? It's a loan. Correct, everyone? I just want to make sure.
It is a loan. There is a grant portion, but it's a very small portion. But there's a grant on the front side, but the main purpose is a loan.
And then I guess a follow-up to that, Robert, while you have it, have the EIDL funds been distributed beyond emergency grant portion at this point?
We are hearing that businesses are getting the loan portions as well. There was a document the SBA released on April 24th showing how many loans have been processed by state, and for the dollar amounts for the EIDL loans. So that is out there, but they are processing the loan portions as well.
Super. Thank you very much, Robert, Amber, Carrie. I do appreciate it. I'm going to make one last request to our entire group. We still have about 70 of you still on. Please use the chat window. We'll keep it open for a little while. And tell us what topics you are interested in for next week. What's on your mind? What are the things that you need help with? If it's PPP and EIDL, just put it up there. We understand that that's still strong. Or more on alternative funding, or helping to relaunch, restart your business. All of these different aspects, let's put them up there. Okay. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll sign off, and great start to week 2. And again, thank you, Amber, Carrie, Robert, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.